So in this video we're going to be going through the sine rule. Now this is just for higher. If you're doing foundation maths, then you won't need to be able to do this. So it's only for the higher candidates. So to start off with, I've written the formulas. Now there is two technically, but to be honest, if you just remember one, the other one's easy to remember as well because actually they're identical. The only thing is that you switch the numerators and the denominators. Okay, so depending on what you're wanting to find, depends on which one you want to use. Now, you can use the bottom one for lengths, absolutely fine. It's just a little bit more difficult because of how the lengths are all on the denominators. Okay, but it wouldn't make a difference. So with these questions, the first thing you need to remember is obviously the formulas, but also how to label them. Now, in exams, I completely ignore generally the labelling that they put, and I just stick with my ABC. So I always have a different colour just sort of when we're learning it. So I always use the A's and the B's. I don't ever really use the C parts, okay? But it's your decision. If you prefer the letter C, you can use the letter C. So the two angles that we've got, they're the ones I'm going to call A and B. It doesn't matter which one they are, but these are capitals. So it'd be capital A, capital B, and capital C. Okay, so again, I could have written those the other way around. I could have made that a B and that one an A. Doesn't make a difference. But the reason why the ones with the angles are the A and the B is because they're the two parts that I'm going to use from the formula. I'm not going to be using the C. Now, opposite sides to those letters, we're going to put the lowercase of it. So for A, if we go across, it takes me to this side, so that's going to be a little a. Okay, for the B angle, if I go across, it takes me to this side, which is little b. And then same for the C, it's going to be this side, which is little c. Okay, so opposite side to angle are the same letter. Now it's really important that you do that. If you don't do that, again, it's going to go completely wrong. Okay, so once we've done that, we're working out the angle. So I'm going to be using the bottom formula. So to start off with, I'm just going to rewrite that out. Okay, so sine A over A equals sine B over B. Now, because I've now labelled it all, I can then just sub it into the formula, a bit like trigonometry and Pythagoras. So sine of big A, so that would be sine of 75, because the angle is 75, divided by little a, which is 9, is equal to sine of x, because x is the angle at B, divided by 4. Okay. Now, we don't like to have fractions, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, okay, because the sine x is being divided by 4. Now, I'm not going to put anything into a calculator until right at the end. So I'm just going to write 4 times sine 75 over 9 equals sine of x. Okay, I'm just going to draw a line and then an arrow. Now, from this point, we don't want sine x, we just want x on its own. Okay, and the only way to do that is to do the inverse of sine, which is sine with a -1, like that. Okay, of the other side, so it would be sine to the -1 of 4 times by sine 75 divided by 9. Okay, can you see that? Yeah. Okay, and we just type that into a calculator. So shift and then sine to get the sine to the -1. 4 times sine of 75 divided by 9. Okay, make sure you close the bracket and equals. One thing I will add, make sure that you've got the degree sign at the top. If you haven't, you're going to get all the wrong answers. Okay, so x is 25.4 degrees. Okay, and that's the final answer for that question. Okay, so it's not too difficult. It's just making sure you can label and then put it into the formula. Okay, so move down to example 2. So again, I'm going to start labelling. So I've got two angles here, so I'm going to call those A and B, and then the last angle, which doesn't have an angle, is, or less, vertice? Yeah. The last vertice I'm just going to call C. Okay, and then opposite sides are the same. So that's going to be little a, that's going to be little b, and that's going to be c. Now it's not said which side we're looking for, but if we read here, find the length QR. So QR is this one here. So I'm just going to add an X there so that I know that's the side that I'm looking for. Okay, so once we've done that, we're looking for the side, so we are going to be using the top formula here. So just to start off with, I'm going to write that down. So A over sine A equals B over sine B. Okay, and then we can sub it all in. So little a, which is the side, is just x, divided by sine of the angle A, so sine of 53, equals B, which is 7.1, divided by the angle, so sine of 105. Okay, now these ones are actually even easier than the previous one. So we want to have the x on its own. At the moment it's being divided by the sine 53. So I'm going to times both sides by sine of 53. Okay, so we then get that x is equal to 7.1 divided by sine of 105 times sine of 53, and we just type that into a calculator and see what answer we get. Okay, so fraction 7.1 divided by sine of 105 multiplied by sine of 53. Okay, and we get that. So I'm going to just round that to one decimal place. So 5.9, and the units is centimetres. Okay, you don't need to do sine to the -1 or the inverse of sine because you're looking for a length. Okay, you only need to do that if you're looking for an angle. Okay, so that's one part of the sine rule. Now there is a second part, which is to do with area of triangles. Okay, so this has its own formula. Okay, so we've got half AB sine C. So again, we do need to do some more labelling. But actually these questions are quite nice. There's little tricks that you can look out for to make sure you're on the right lines. So with these ones, you're generally given only one angle because you only need one angle to find the area of these triangles. Secondly, these are just for triangles that don't have a right angle, okay, but also you don't know the height. So for this one, normally, we would need to know the vertical height to work out the area, okay, but instead we're given these two lengths here, and then this angle in the middle of the two of them. So we need to use this formula to then work out the area. So what we're going to do is, again, I ignore the letters that they give us. The angle that you have, I always call C. Okay, so I've got 42 there, so I've called that C. A and B are the other two, it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to leave that as a B, and then I'm going to change that one to A. Similar thing, opposites are the same, so opposite to C, that's going to be there, opposite to A is going to be there, and opposite to B is here, okay? And we just use the formula, so I'm just going to write it out first. Okay, so we've got the half, so it's going to be a half times little a, which is 5.2, times by little b, which is 7.1, times by sine of the angle at C, which is 42. And you just type it into a calculator. So 1/2 times 5.2 times 7.1 times sine of 42. Okay? And we get 12.4 to one decimal place. Okay, remember it's area, so it's going to be squared. Now the trick is, if you are absolutely fine with it and you just want a bit of speed, the sides that you need will always be the two sides that are connected with the angle in the middle, okay? So that's just a little trick if you wanted to know. So for the last example for today, so this is EG4, these are the reverse ones. So you're told the area and we need to work out the angle. I'm just going to put a line there, otherwise I'll get confused. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is label it. So the angle we're looking for, that's C. A and B, doesn't matter which ones it is. Okay, then label the side, so opposite would be here, opposite to A would be here, opposite to B would be here. Okay, I'm going to write the formula out and then I'm going to sub numbers in. So we've got A, half AB sine C. So we've got a half times by A, which is 3.2, times by B, which is 5.3. I'm just going to open it up because it's annoying me. Times by sine of the angle, which they've not called anything, well, we're just going to call it sine C. Okay, now I'm just going to multiply those numbers together using a calculator. So a half times 3.2 times 5.3, which gives me 8.48. Okay, so this is equal to 8.48 times by sine of C. Now we're told in the question that the area is this amount, so this must be equal to 5.45. Okay, so all we've done is form an equation. So to work out this, we don't need the 8.45 being multiplied to the sine C, so we're going to divide both sides by 8.45, no, 8.48, there we go, 0.48. There we go. That's not even, that's annoying. There we go. So we get sine C is equal to, so right, 0.6426, that should be a 7, but that's fine. Okay, so we want to get just C, so we've got to do the inverse. So C is going to be sine to the -1 of that answer, 0.6426. Now remember what I said earlier in a previous video, that you want to keep all the decimal places. So all I'm going to do is click shift and then sine, that gives me the -1, and then click answer, and it keeps all the decimal places from this bit here. Okay, and we get 39.99, so it's going to round up to 40 degrees. Okay.